Hi, so I just got off the MSC Seascape. There are some pros and cons that I would like to share with y'all, so let's get into it. I went on a 4-day cruise aboard MSC Seascape. We went to Nassau, Bahamas, and we went to Ocean Cay, their private island, for about 28 hours, and then we came back to Miami. So let's get into the price, how much I paid for the cruise. All right, so I ended up going solo, which the rooms are double occupancy. So I went solo, and my total before gratuity was $351. So the way the gratuity works is you can pay it up front, or you can pay it at the end, and it's like $60. So add another $60, it was like 60 something. Add another $60 something for gratuity, and that's what your total would be. So the base price was $351 for an interior room, but they ended up upgrading my room to a balcony. So shout out to MSC for that. But yeah, so it was $351. Plus I also got the non-alcoholic drink package, which cost me $76. So that's the price. So in my opinion, that's really good, especially for a solo traveler, because it's hard to get good rates when you're solo. And especially since it wasn't a solo cabin, it was just a regular cabin. So if I would have went with somebody else, it would have been even cheaper because we could have split the cost. They're definitely an affordable option. So they market themselves more of like a budget style cruise. You do have to keep that in mind when you book with them. It is going to be different than probably what you're used to, but it doesn't necessarily mean bad. So it's different, not necessarily bad. I'll get into more of what I did and didn't like. Next, I'll get into Embarkation. So the embarkation process was super smooth, very easy, 10 out of 10. This was my 4th cruise. So I've only been on 3 cruises before that, and they were all with Carnival. I haven't been to any other terminal besides Galveston, so I don't know how Carnival operates in Miami, but MSC blew it out the water. I got there at 2, and I was through security within like 5 or 10 minutes. Then you did have to wait, but you were able to wait inside. And Carnival in Galveston, you have to wait outside. Like there's no seating area like they had, so the seating area was huge. So we had to wait inside, but it was okay because it was comfortable, very nice, very modern, 10 out of 10. Yeah, they definitely had that part on point. It was very efficient, so I will give them that. We were able to get on quickly. I got on. So another thing, a tip is they do their muster stations different. They do it, you can watch it on TV or you can watch it on your phone. So what you can do is as soon as you get on the ship, before you go to your room, I suggest you find your muster station, check in, and then go to your room and watch it on TV. Because however the system's set up, they know that you watched it once you watch it on the TV. So don't go to your room and come back because you're gonna have to walk far. So right as soon as you get on the boat, check in with your muster station, then go to your room, watch it on TV or watch it on your phone, and then you can go about your day. That's it. You don't gotta do anything else after that. So that was easy to me. I know people had complaints about it, but I thought that was a lot easier because I don't know. I felt like I don't like when they do a demonstration. I'd rather just watch it on TV or watch it on my phone. That was a definite 10 out of 10 for me. As far as the embarkation goes, I didn't have any complaints. Nothing that no. I think it was all pros. They did a good job to me. So I give them a 10 out of 10 for that. As y'all know, I am a food content creator. So let's just jump right into the food. So the taste of the food. All right. So overall, for the buffet, I probably give it like a 7 out of 10 overall. Some things were really, really good, and then some things weren't. My main thing was that the variety. Now they did switch it up, like did switch some items up certain days, but overall I feel like they needed more variety. But what I was thinking is this is probably how they're able to cut costs. So if this is how you can keep the rates low for it, but I know people might complain about that because the variety definitely wasn't there. And since they don't have a lot of specialty dining, so your options aren't even limited when you try to go to specialty dining. Now, what I will say is that the main dining room definitely stepped it up. The main dining room was good. Now, I heard the first day it was a little chaotic, but I wasn't able to make it, so I went on the second day, and it was really good. I gave my meal like an 8. I had like snapper. I think I had coconut shrimp and a quesadilla. It was all 3 are really good. I gave that meal like a 8 out of 10. So that was delicious. Skip something. Going back to the buffet, The con was that since they don't have a lot of eating venues, the buffet can get very crowded. So on day one, the buffet was really crowded. But I think that's typical on cruises. I'm not sure, but they only have one buffet, like one room with the buffet. But it's like 3 separate buffets, I think. And it did get crowded on day one. Now it started to calm down on day 2 because I guess people were starting to go into the main dining room. But yeah, so keep that in mind. It might get a little crowded because they don't have a lot of food venues, so everybody's going to the buffet. In the main dining room, you get 1 entree, and you can get as many appetizers as you want and desserts. If you want an additional main course, you can pay $5 more. So I think that was well worth it. Like I said, the snapper I had was really good. So if you like snapper, definitely check those out. Okay, so going back to the buffet, there were some days that was like, the food wasn't bad. Like the pizza. Okay, so let's start with the pizza. The pizza is good. Now, when they say that they have the best pizza at sea, they do. Now, let's be clear. It's not, you probably can still get better pizza at your local pizzeria, but for as far as cruise pizza goes, I don't compare it to Carnival, and it's definitely like 5 or 6 times better than Carnival. Like it's like a real pizza to me. I don't know. I can't explain it, but Carnival's pizza is, I don't know. I don't like it. But yeah, so the pizza was really good. So I ate that on the first day, and I was like, well, if nothing else is good, at least I can eat this. But there were other good items. The burgers were good. Now, it's not Guy's Burgers, but the burgers that they had were good. The hot dogs were decent. Those 3 items they had every single day. Now, they did switch up. They had like a little vegetarian section, which was nice. And they also had like a sandwich, make your own sandwich and make your own tacos section, which was nice also. Now, when it came to some of the meats, they did switch them up. So one time we had lamb chops, which I was shocked because I've never seen lamb chops on a buffet anywhere. So that was surprising to me, and they were really good, surprisingly. So yeah. Then they had like sometimes they would have like roast beef, different kinds of like chicken, and then one time I saw like dumplings on the menu or something like that. So I was like, okay, this is not bad. So they did switch it up a little bit, but you have to go to the middle. It was the buffet in the middle was the one that was switching. I feel like the 2 on the ends did not switch. So just be aware of that. Also, they have a kids buffet, so which I did like. So it kept the kids in their own section. So the kids have their own little buffet that they can go through, which was nice. I definitely give them a 10 out of 10 for that one because, you know, sometimes the kids, I know on Carnival, sometimes the kids are in the way. And I like they got their own line, they got their own stuff. 10 out of 10 for that. Thank you for thinking of that because that was a good idea. Now, as far as breakfast went, they did not really switch up on the breakfast, which, I mean, it's typical. It's usually eggs, bacon, sausage. So what you can do is go to the main dining room, which they have brunch. And they also there's a place called Hola Tacos that sells breakfast, complimentary breakfast. And the Butcher's Cut, which is their steakhouse, that also has complimentary breakfast. The Butcher's Cut was pretty much similar to what was on the buffet, but Hola Tacos is like a Mexican style breakfast. So I went there twice, and that was really good. I had chilaquiles, I had huevos rancheros. Those dishes were pretty good, so I will give them that. That was like my favorite place, and I definitely suggest going there. Hola Tacos for breakfast is definitely the move, because like I said, the buffet didn't switch up enough for me. I don't know if it's every day, but on one of the days they did have like a brunch, and it might have been every day. I'm not sure. Don't quote me on that. But on one, I only got to go once. But one of the days they did have brunch, and it was pretty good. They had like steak and eggs. They had a bunch of different items, like from different countries. It was like a around the world brunch. So I got steak, eggs, and potatoes, and that was delicious overall. And yeah, so overall, I enjoyed the food. Now, there were a couple items that I didn't like, but overall, the food was good for what they gave you. So I know they've had a lot of complaints about food in the past, but I think they have actually been working and getting better. So shout out to MSC for that, because the food was overall good. I give my whole experience like a total, I give it like a 7 out of 10. Also, when it comes to access to food, so how late, I felt like I never felt hungry. And as y'all remember on my Carnival Jubilee cruise, I was hungry several times because the way that they had the food set up, it was shut down. You had to walk all the way to another side of the ship to get something. And they didn't do that. So it was pretty much open for most of the time. They had a night buffet, which was from like 10 p.m. to 2 a.m. The buffet stayed open to like 9. So I never went without food. there was always food available. And I also like that on their night buffet, they had healthy options instead of just burgers and fries. They did have burgers and fries, of course, but they also had, you can make a salad, you could make a sandwich. So if you wanted something light before you went to bed, I thought that was a good idea because I don't feel like Carnival does that. I'm not sure, but I don't remember them having anything healthy the last time I went on there. So shout out to them for that. That was nice. All right, let's get into the cabins. So like I said, they upgraded my cabin to a balcony. I was in 9201 and the cabin was nice. You know, it was just a basic, nothing's crazy, but it was decent. What I don't like is that only your card will work for the lights. You can't use another card like you can on other cruise ships. You have to use this card that they give you. So you got to remember that. But another thing you can do is buy the wristband, and then you'll have the wristband and the card. So then you can use the wristband and then leave the card in the door. But overall, the room was fine. The air conditioner worked well, which I had issues with the air conditioner on Carnival Jubilee. It didn't blow in the air. So the air conditioner was cold. I didn't even need a fan, which was good. It was very comfortable. They came and cleaned. It seemed like they cleaned more than once a day because I think it might have been twice a day. I'm not sure. But I felt like every time I came back, my room was clean. So shout out to them for that. I never met the person, but my room was always clean. So I'm happy with you. I never got to actually meet the person that cleaned my room though. But yeah, they did a good job with that. I'll go over the ship aesthetics. It was very, I won't say luxury, but I'll say like upscale, if that's right. I wouldn't say it's not luxury, but it's nice. And like they were like more like adult style spaces, like something that somebody's living room might look like. They did a good job. And the tones they used, the chairs they used, everything was thought out really well and like really, really adult. That's what I was saying. Like it's very adultish, and I'm probably using the wrong word. I don't even know if that's a word. Yes, they have their kids areas. Yes, the kids have their own pool. And yes, the kids have their own buffet, but it's focused towards adults. And I appreciate that because we're the ones who are paying for it. So yeah, so I felt like all the spaces were like adult spaces and they were really, really nice. They did a really good job at designing the spaces. I felt very comfortable, and they had places like, they had a lot of seating areas where you could like sit and read a book or just relax and watch the waves. It was really nice. It goes back to what I was saying about the adult thing. It feels like an adult cruise because they just did little things that was like, okay, well, this is not for kids. This is for me. I'm an adult. So yeah, this is for me. But yeah, so I thought that was a good idea. Room service, I'm going to be honest, after 10 o'clock, the room service is only healthy options, which I'm not mad at, but you're probably going to be surprised and maybe upset depending on what you want to eat at that time. So you got to get it before. If you order before 10, they have like way more stuff. But after 10, it was only like sandwiches, grilled chicken, nothing, chips. It was like very light. So they was making sure you eat light before you go to bed. But I know everybody doesn't want to do that. But yeah, the room service was not the best. The variety, even if it was healthy, I wish they just had more variety. There was only like a couple items that you could choose from after 10 p.m. So I will put that as a con because they definitely could have more items because there's no need. I mean, I don't see why you can't add more. Even if you wanted to only have healthy stuff, it could have just been more items on the menu. So yeah, the menu is very limited after 10 p.m. if you want to order room service. So going back to the design, okay, so like I said, the spaces that they had were nice, but I did feel like in certain areas the flow was not there. So a lot of people congregated in and I guess it's typical of any cruise where you congregate at the top deck. So it kind of got very crowded there, but I feel like a lot of cruises it's the same. So I won't really knock them for that because that's like typical. But they did have I will say they had a lot of seating areas. They had a good amount of pools. There was like 5 pools. There was a kids pool, and then they had like an indoor pool, the jungle pool, and then they had it was like 3 more outside. So it was like 2 pools that was for adults only, and then they had like the main big pool. I don't know all the terminology. I'm still learning. They had the main pool, and then they had 2 pools that was like adults only, and then they had the jungle pool, which was anybody can go in there, and the Pirates Cove was for kids. So I did like that. That was a good idea. I love that they had a kids area separate from the adult area. All right, so let's get into the service. The service. Overall, my service that I received was pretty good. I really felt like the people were real. And no offense, I don't even know how to say this properly, but I sometimes feel like on Carnival, the people they're almost like they're, I mean, I know you're going through some kind of training or whatever, but I feel like sometimes they felt like robots. And maybe it's just the cruises I was on, I don't know. But I never felt, but I mean, there were now and then you can find people that seem like an authentic person, but sometimes I felt like they're a little bit more robotic. I'm sorry, that's just what I noticed. And a friend of mine that we went on a cruise together said the same thing. But I feel like on this cruise, they were like real people. So they weren't overly nice, but they did their job. And yeah, they were just genuine, you know. So I felt they did a good job at that. If that was, I don't know if they were faking or not, but everybody was very nice, but not overly nice, which is fine for me. I don't need you to be overly nice. Just, you know, hey, how you doing? And if you can answer any questions that I have, even great. I never had a problem. They were able to answer every question I asked. Everything I needed, they were able to get. So I can't complain about them. So I give the service a 10 out of 10, in my opinion. Cleanliness, they were constantly cleaning. They were like, I would even walk past, like you walk past, like there's like a glass on, usually like a, you know, on the stairway, there's glass where the Seascape deck is. And they would, you know, you stand there, you might touch it, they'll be right behind you cleaning. So yeah, they were on it. They were constantly cleaning. So I will give them that. I don't even remember anything, me having to wipe off a table or anything. It was always clean. So they did a good job at that, in my opinion. So I give them a 10 out of 10 for that, because I never had to even think. Nothing was ever dirty. Nothing. I never had to, you know, wipe something off myself. Never. So they did a very good job at that. Let's go to pools and jacuzzis. So like I said, they had 5 pools. The amount of jacuzzis they had, don't quote me on this. I saw 4. I know there's like 2. There's 4 on deck 8, which there's 2 on each side of the ship. So I do remember those, and I'm sure they had others. I'm sure there was one inside the jungle pool, so that's 5. And then let's assume there's a couple outside, 6, 7, 8. I'm not sure. I'm not sure about the number, but if you know the number, drop it in the comments. But yeah, there was a lot. So I never got to use them. I just never had time. But yeah, they had a lot of pools and a lot of jacuzzis. So if that's something you like to do, you'll have time to do it. I do remember that the jungle pool stayed open to like 10. So that was the inside one. So you had all night to swim. So yeah, I was able to get on the slides. That was fun. They have I think there's like 5 slides. There's 2 on each side of the ship, and then there's 1 in the middle. I got to go on all of them. They were all fun. I definitely had a good time on those. There was really no cons to that. Oh, but to get on the slides, you do have to sign a waiver. So remember to do that. I would suggest doing it as like the day you get on. So go to the Pirates Cove pool, and there should be somebody at the desk, and he will sign you. You can sign the waiver. So you do have to do that, and you have to have a wristband, and you can just leave the wristband on the entire trip. Any cons for that? I didn't have any issues. You know, the lines are going to be long when you're at sea. When we was in a port, the lines were short. So, I mean, I didn't have any problems with that. I didn't have no issues with that. So moving on to the next one. But let's get into the entertainment. The entertainment. Okay, so this is where they need some work. Yeah, the entertainment, it definitely needs a lot of work. It definitely needs, well, hold on. Well, let's go back to the price of the cruise. So, I mean, it's one of those things that you kind of get what you pay for. So the entertainment is really not that good. I mean, it's something to do just to pass time, but it's not, you know, some Broadway show. No, it's just okay. Maybe the kids might like it. I wasn't really that impressed with that. The comedian was funny that they had. I did like that. The entertainment, I feel like it was just, it lacked. You get what you pay for with that. They did have a lot of dance classes. Overall, the activities were very adult activities, so I will say that. But if you're coming from Carnival, I feel like Carnival might do a little bit better. Now, not to say their entertainment is better, because it's not, because their shows aren't that good either. But I feel like they have more stuff. Like, you know, you could play, they did have bingo one night, I think, or something like that. But I feel like Carnival does a little bit better at that. So I will give Carnival that. So the one thing they do different here is the way they party. The parties are different. So I know now I still have to, I'm going on another Carnival cruise on the 28th. So I'll make another video kind of comparing them a little bit more, because it's been a year since I've been on Carnival. So on September 28th, I'm going to another one. I'll make an updated video on the difference between Carnival and MSC. But for me, I felt like they had more parties. Now the parties were more laid back. All white party was nice. It was everybody wore white, and we know who's out on the deck. They had the party at the private island. So if you get to go to the private island and get the overnight stay, they will have a beach party, which was nice. That was definitely a 10 out of 10 for me. That was fun. There's a lounge in there called La Rouge Cabaret. They had nice little stuff going on. They had karaoke, and they would play music and you could dance in there. They had another club called Uptown Lounge, which had a dance floor too. So I would say the parties are different than Carnival. Might be not the same energy, but they were fun. And it was more of a lounge type. The ones indoors were more like a lounge type of vibe than like a party vibe. Now the outdoor ones were like party vibes, so that was good. The all white party and the beach party were my two favorites. If you get an overnight stay at Ocean Cay, definitely go to the beach party. You will not regret it. That was fun. So I know people like to go to the gym on there. So one of the cons is that they do not have a track like Carnival does at the top of the ship. That's unfortunate. But at the end of the day, I mean, if you can walk around and you're going to get your steps in, but they do not have a dedicated track. But they do have a nice gym. I didn't get to go on this trip, but I did walk in there and just kind of look, and it was nice. So I'll give them that. But I wish they did have a track, because I do like to walk on a track or whatever, or run or whatever. So I feel like I wasn't able to do that, but I just kind of, working with what I had, I did laps around the ship. So yeah, but I wish they would have added that. They did have a basketball court, which was cool. And they had some other, that was the only other sports thing that you could do there. I think I might be missing something. If I am, drop it in the comments. I tried to see as much as I could, but I'm going back on the Seascape in November, so whatever I didn't get in this video, I'll definitely be able to get in the next one. So as far as that goes, that's a con, because I do wish they had a track. The casino was cool. I wish it was bigger, because they only had like 2 roulette tables, had a couple blackjack tables. They had a lot of machines though, so I will say that. And they also have machines in there. They have slot machines in their sports bars. So if you look at their schedule, they'll have days or hours where they give you double points. So you could just go play and you would get double points for those hours. So I was able to do that a couple times, which is nice. To kind of get my status up. And I won $700 in roulette, so that was cool. So that paid for my cruise. So I was like, okay, shout out to MSC again. But yeah, so that was fun. The energy was not as vibrant as Carnival, but it was fun. And like I said, I was still able to win money. So as long as I can win some money, I don't care who was in there. But yeah, it was overall, it was cool. It was laid back. It's not a Carnival vibe though, because I feel like Carnival, the energy in the casino was very high. And yeah, it wasn't that high on this one, but it was still fun. But one of the things I did like is that they had a bar right in the middle. So you're never far from the bar. So it never took them a long time to get your drink to you, which I feel like sometimes at Carnival, it takes forever. The bar is huge and it's in the middle of the casino. So you're able to, it's only a few steps from wherever you're at. So, which was nice. So I do like that. I get the whole casino experience like a 7.5 out of 10. It wasn't bad, but it definitely could use some improvement. All right, so let's talk about the private island. Ocean Cay. Is it Ocean Key? Ocean Cay. Did I mention you need to make sure you have Ocean Cay overnight stay on your itinerary? I give it a 20 out of 10. Definitely recommend. Do not go on MSC and not go to their private island. That was an amazing experience. I was blown away. They did such a good job with this. So theirs is more of a reserve than just a private island like Carnival and Royal. They actually don't have any water slides or anything like that. There's a lagoon in the middle, and on the two sides, on the two ends of it, is the ocean. You can either go to the lagoon or you can go to the ocean side, and they let you pretty much you can do whatever you want. Yeah, it was so relaxing. I cannot say enough of good things about Ocean Cay. I'm ready to go back already. To be honest, this solidified that I want to do more cruises. Before, I used to only go on cruises for the casino. Now I actually want to go on there for the experience again. It was amazing. I can't say enough good things about it. I'm going to make a separate video about my experience on there, but it was definitely a 20 out of 10. Definitely recommend the overnight stay. The overnight stay was definitely a game changer for me, because I feel like sometimes you're kind of rushed when you go to these ports, and this gave you so much time to just relax. You can get on and off the boat. You didn't have to worry. You was just able to be calm. Stay on the beach all day. You could do whatever you wanted to do that day. If you wanted to stay in your room late and go to the beach late, you could do that. You could just get on and off the boat. It was very nice. Shout out to them for that, because that definitely changed the game for me. That's a game changer for me. Because I feel like, and another thing that people don't talk about, but I don't know if it's every single time, but we were the only boat. We were the only ship there. And what they did was, there was a ship there that was in front of us. So we waited until they left, and then we proceeded. So I like that. So you're only on the island with the people that you came on with, which was nice. So it was like, and it's so big that it feels like, it doesn't feel overcrowded. So it was great. Like, I was able to still find an area where I could, just have peace and quiet. They did an amazing job with that. And there was activities that you could do. They had a buffet. The bars were, and the food, the food is included at the buffet. And your drink package works on the island. And there's like 10 bars. I might be wrong about the number, but there's a lot. There's like 10 bars, or if there's not a bar, they'll have like a person with a cart that has drinks. So it was like, you could use your drink package and you got free food. They did have some food trucks that you could pay for, but the buffet was free. So that was great. They did an amazing job. You don't have to think about nothing really. You just had to go. And I love that. It was like carefree, go, enjoy your time. Don't have to worry about, oh, I got to pay for this. Oh, I got to pay for that. No, unless you wanted to do an excursion. Now you could pay for a beach chair. It was like $20 for half a day. The first day was half a day, was $20, and it was like $40 for the next. But I think if you order it early, it's like $40 for both days. So do that. Go to the excursion desk and book that early if that's something that you want. But if you don't want to do that, you can always just set your stuff up in the sand, which I did on the last day. I just set up a towel and just laid on the sand and went to the beach. And you can it's just like, yeah, you just relax, just chill. It was very nice. 20 out of 10, definitely recommend. Overnight stay at Ocean Cay is a must. Like, that's a game changer. So yeah, I'll definitely give them that. There's not even enough words that I could use to express how much I love that island. So you will definitely be seeing me there again. Another thing I want to discuss is that elevator situation. So that was a little annoying because they don't teach people how to use the elevator. So what I've heard is that you're supposed to press it for as many people as you have in your party. I'm not sure if that's true. If it's not, drop a comment. But I think that's what you're supposed to do. And if they taught the people, if they would have even announced how to do it, you probably would have had more success. But what was going on is people was pushing it once for their party of 10, all getting in the elevator, and then when it goes to the next floor, the person that just pushed it once for one person was unable to get in because it was already full. So that's another thing. But I just took the steps a lot of the times, and I got some exercise too, so I'm okay with that. The elevator situation is a little annoying, but it does have a timer on there for the most part. For most of the floors, there's a timer, so it tells you what time the elevator is going to come. If you want to wait, you wait. If you don't, you just take the steps. So, and I feel like on any cruise line, I end up taking the steps anyways. Even on Carnival with the regular elevators, I still end up taking the steps because they take so long. But yeah, they are annoying, and there's no buttons inside, so it takes you straight to whatever floor you requested. So yeah, that's something you got to get used to. But after the first day, I think like the third and fourth day, the last 2 days, it seemed like they were getting it. But the first day, it was very chaotic. So that was definitely a con. Question is, would I go on MSC again? Yes, I will, and I already have one booked. Going on MSC Seascape again, November 9th, 2025, out of Galveston. Their inaugural sailing, so I'll be on that one. And I plan on doing more. I really did like the product. I really liked what they stand for. I love that the value, and I love that it was affordable price, but they didn't water everything down. Like certain things could have been better, like I said, the food, but I think that's probably part of how they're able to save money. So I'm all for it. MSC is the way to go. That's probably going to be my new favorite cruise line for now. I'm going to go on Carnival Firenze, and I'm going to see how that is at the end of the month. And then I will make an updated video and let you know what I think. But right now, MSC got it. I had a really good time. I feel like they are more for people that are like 25 and up. I felt like that's where everything was kind of gauged for. Yes, you can bring your kids, and they do have kids clubs, and they have a kids pool, and they have, like I said, they even had a kids buffet, so that you can bring your kids, of course. But I still feel like the activities and stuff were for adults, like, and not necessarily, it wasn't really anything like rated R or anything. It was just adult, adult activities. So partying, a lot of partying, which kids can do too, but it was, I feel like they focused towards the adults, and then the kids could just join in if they wanted to. I'm definitely going to be going to MSC more often. So if you have any other questions, drop a comment and maybe I'll make an updated video. But thank you for watching, and like, subscribe, and follow for more.